Welcome to another Locals Night. This is round 1 of May 8th Local Night, where I am piloting Hera Lake Country against Vader Yellow. I apologize for the glare on the leader card on this side of the table. So anyways, before we jump into this round, let's discuss the leaders. Hera is a very interesting leader. All your Spectors ignore the aspect penalty to be played. So typically, all your Spectors are in different colors. None are really in the color of green. So they're in blue, yellow, and red. So to compensate that, Hera's ability states that you can play them free of charge. So we can play our Ghosts, our Kanan Jarruses, our Sabines, our Ezra, all without having to pay that extra fine for not having green. And because of that, we can run the Lake Country base. This is a 34 base that basically has no aspect colors. It's one of the vanilla things, basically no aspect on it. Again, that's because we are allowed to utilize Hera's ability to ignore aspects. So anyways, Hera comes out at 6. She's a 3/6 when she does. When she comes on the board, she can give a experience token to a non-unique, unique unit on the board. So the aspect of this deck is we're just using a bunch of Spectors and we're just going to spam the board with Spectors. On the other side is the better spam deck that right now is kind of being contention for a really strong meta-relevant deck. That is Vader Yellow. So it's just a good old Jabba's Palace over here. I did like this counter on my opponent's side of the board for counting this one. But Vader states on his side, when you attack, after you attack with a non-token unit, tap him and you create a TIE Fighter. This deck all is about swarming. It's about swarming the board with bodies. That's all it is. It's body swarm. Swarm the deck with bodies. And then you can use Clone Cohort, the 4-drop Y-Wing, to then come out and you get a +1/+1 for every single body you have on the board for in space. So the Clone Cohort can come out, then you can attach Vader onto it to make it even worse because then it becomes a leader unit and basically swing in for a whole bunch of damage. So that's what this deck strategy is, not mentioning it gets yellow, so it gets frozen in carbonite. No good to me dead. You get waylays, you get strike true. So you get all of those really good yellow cards here. So without a doubt, let's see what will happen as I play Hera Lake Country against Vader Yellow. Alright, here we go. As we start off the game, we're going to have with a 𝐒𝐐𝐒. 𝐒𝐒 comes down and is played and immediately makes a TIE Fighter token. I'm immediately going to put down Chopper. Chopper, when he attacks, discards the top card of my opponent's deck. Does get raid 1 by another Spectre on the board. Discards 1 card from my opponent's deck. If it's an event card, they have to rest 1 of their resources. I do get a couple triggers here. So I'm going to put down the Sabine as we both go into 3 resources each. As you can see here, the aspect is this. Vader does not do anything really much with the ground. As we see Victor Leader coming down, giving a +1/+1 to all vehicles, every other vehicle on the board. So right now, these TIE Fighters are currently at 2/2 each. As a reminder, the only way we can really do anything in this deck is you have to run something in with a non-token unit, so the 𝐒𝐑 has to attack to allow Vader to trigger off. But anyways, I'm going to throw down Sabine's TIE Fighter. Sabine's TIE Fighter right now can only allow me to resource or restand a resource here with its effect. So anyways, we're going to go Chopper. Chopper is going to get the raid 2 here to deal 2 damage with the effect. Then I'm just going to tell my opponent it. So they're going to mill the top card of their deck. Unfortunately, the way my camera angle is, okay, good. We are going to be able to see it. So it wasn't an event card, so my opponent does not get to rest anything. Does not have to burn any resource or rest any resource here. Not that it really matters. He did tap out of resources as Victor Leader is 3. Anyway, did attack with a non-token unit, so we do get to trigger Vader here to bring out another TIE Fighter token. Again, Victor Leader really does strongly help out the Vader strategy of making it massively powerful. Anyways, we're just going to immediately start off with a resourcing here as we go up into 4 resources and figuring out what we kind of really want to do here, as I kind of don't have the best starting hand. And again, this deck is all about quickly strategizing. So anyways, I'm going to bash into Victor Leader, dealing it 3 damage, and I'm going to take back 2. Mainly, I need to get this Victor Leader off the board because it right now is the greatest threat, thanks to the fact that it could just constantly power up the TIE Fighters. Not much that I can really do. Anyways, we have a strike true. surprise strike coming in, powering up the Victor leader. We are going to once again swing in Chopper, but this time I'm only doing 1 damage because I don't have a Spectre unit. We're going to mill. Unfortunately, it was not a event here, as my opponent still has 2 resources still standing of the floor. Anyways, again, because Victor leader did swing, the Vader does be able to trigger. We're going to have a TIE Fighter come in, swing off, and kill off a blue leader. Blue leader here because, again, keeping the blue leader off, especially because I was going to go after Victor leader. Unfortunately, there's not much else I can do. I don't have another Victor leader or blue leader in my hand that I can spam out another again and swing in. Anyways, we're going to pass. I do have the initiative here. I do have Bright Hope, which is actually going to be pretty good here to allow me to keep safe here a turn, especially against a deck strategy that is all about spamming out. Anyways, Vader does come out on 6 as well as does Hera. I think my opponent does get kind of confused about triggering the effect of Vader. Anyways, we're gonna go Bright Hope. I am going to trigger Bright Hope. I did actually think I sequenced that wrong. I should have probably swung Chopper first, and done the 1 damage, and then added Chopper back, then added Chopper off of Bright Hope so that I can get the draw. Unfortunately, I did that out of sequence here. Typically, Bright Hope allows you to spin back a non-unique ground unit or non-leader unit to your hand. My opponent is going to try to flip the Vader here. Unfortunately, I do remind him that Vader is at 6 resources and not at 5, which again is kind of dangerous because they were going to flip it under Victor leader. Now we're going to put a one of I think it's Victor 2 or 3, can't remember which one creates a TIE Fighter, but anyways, creates a TIE Fighter. We're going to go Dogfight. Dogfight ability allows me to swing in with a rested unit, and to attack something, basically, I can swing with a rested unit, even though rested, but I cannot swing at the base. So I'm going to have Bright Hope knock out Victor leader. That way, again, I don't have to worry about him creating a TIE Fighter token here off of a Victor leader. Again, this is why I should have 100%, should have swung the Chopper in first, triggering the Chopper's effect, and then mailing him 1 more, seeing if I could burn 1 more resource, and then throwing down Bright Hope, grab back Chopper, and then basically do all that. Anyways, here comes the Clone Cohort Squadron. Again, gets a +1/+1 for every single other fighter on the board. Currently is a 5/5 on the board. I'm going to put down R2-D2, but the problem that I have 100% here is I have no way to knock out this Clone Cohort before it basically is going to attach with a Vader and become a massive thing, because Vader is a 5. I think he gives a plus. I know he's a massive cohort here. I can't fully remember, but I think he gives a +5 in attack, if I remember right. He's like really hard. He's really powerful once he upgrades. And again, once he upgrades, he does become a he does come in with 2 TIE Fighter tokens. I'm going to bring out Hera. We do have the Darth Vader swing on there. It is a +5/+5. That's why he's so powerful. Clone Cohort is right now getting a buff of 5 more, by the way, as well. I do give a +1/+1 counter from the swing of the Hera to the Bright Hope. Not that that really matters when that Clone Bomber right now is swinging for a ton of damage. Basically, the Clone Bomber is going to be able to tear through Bright Hope, and then basically there's nothing I can really do. The strategy doesn't play enough and again, we're in green, so we don't really have much of the way of like control cards to deal with, say, the Clone Cohort, which right now is got a big buff on it. So there's really no way for me to technically deal with Clone Cohort because of the aspect that this thing is massive. It's getting a +5 buff. So right now it's getting a 10 before that. That's Sabine's TIE Fighter coming down here. But anyways, it's basically getting a +6 here. So it's going to be 9, then plus another 5 here. So right now it is 14. That's just how powerful Clone Cohort is. Again, this Vader strategy really isn't about ground, it's about space and overwhelming your opponent with space. And because it's a +1/+1, it takes a lot to tear through it. That's why if you're playing like blue is a whole lot better to deal with it, because the aspect is that you have a whole lot better way to deal with it. Anyways, I'm going to throw down the Ezra Blizzard. I'm going to put an R2-D2 under, of course, the Sabine's TIE Fighter. Not that it's really going to help me in any physical way, because there's really no way for me to tear through that Clone Cohort at nearly 14 health with only 4 damage on it right now, meaning I have to get through another 10 health, but that +1/+1 continues to get bigger and bigger as more and more fighters come out of the board, and this is what this deck strategy does. It's all about just swarming fighters onto the board, and then basically that's all it can do. As we see here, my opponent is going to swing in with that 14 pain point, putting me to 19 of my 34. And again, I still don't even have much of a way to deal with anything on the board state. So I am going to go decide to swing the Hera to give a +1 to Sabine. We're going to deal the 4 damage to the base. I mean, it is pretty close. I mean, it is at 11 to 19. The problem is I have way too many small bodies about to hit me. I have a 3-4 off of that contracted jumper. I do have in the off the screen right now is the one ship. I can't remember its name, but it has the 2-2. Anyways, we're going to go Bright Hope, just to try to insulate a little bit of damage here that's coming down the base, especially with all of these TIE fighters coming in at 1 damage. My opponent is basically just going to basically not going to swing any of his fighters into me, and just basically going to let nothing really happen. Anyways, now we have an Arc 170 in the back row. We're going to swing into the contracted Jump Master. We're going to be able to knock out the contracted Jump Master, and we're going to give a off because we have green. We're going to give a +1/+1 to good old Bright Hope, because again I do have a blue, and because I have a green and I have a yellow on the board, I do get to restand 1 resource. But the problem is I really just don't have much of a way to really deal with the mass board presence in the sky. As we see yet another card come down. That is the Zagarian Hopper, Star Hopper there. So basically that comes down as also, I believe, a 2-3, and has its indirect ability as well. My opponent is really kind of determining whether or not they want to come in and swing at the Bright Hope, because typically they could just wait 1 turn, swing in with the Vader, knock out Bright Hope, and then the problem aspect is I have no way to really deal with that clone cohort, especially with a Darth Vader under it, especially in a color that doesn't really have a lot of control aspect about it. Unfortunately, I just don't really have a lot of control in a green... in a deck strategy that basically, really, I can only play green heroic because of the fact Lake Country basically removes one of my colors from the entirety of the deck. Because again, Hera Lake Country is more about using the Spectors. But unfortunately, I ran into, as turn 1, I ran into a nice thing. Anyways, I'm going to do Spark of Rebellion to look at my opponent's hand and rip something out of it. Anyways, I think they only had 1 card in hand. We're then going to pay 1, and we're going to go do, again, Dogfight to knock out the Arc 170. Again, I do get to trigger Sabine's ability once again, because again, it's on attack, whatever ones I have. Anyways, I'm not really going to restand the resources, not really a point, but anyways, we do get, the Sabine's TIE Fighter does get to be knocked out here, as well as the Arc 170. I'm just trying to remove my opponent's heal factor, but really, there's not much else I can really do against that clone cohort that basically is just going to knock out Bright Hope, and there's nothing I can really do against the fact that there are still 4 TIE Fighters, 1 Cartel Spacer, and that Zagarian Starhopper. All of that really can just do everything. As problem is, I'm a ground-based strategy that really has... And plus, I didn't see any of my Kanan Jarruses as well, so I'm not seeing anything to help with my healing or anything like that. So I'm not really seeing any healing to help me or anything like that to like give me any help. Again, my opponent does do something kind of funny. They do have that Mining Guild tie in their hand. They do try to think that the Mining Guild tie is on play, pay 2, and then draw a card, but the Mining Guild tie is actually, it's on attack, pay 2, draw 1. So lucky enough, me and my opponent caught that. I think my opponent, throughout most of the day, did have that problem. So anyways, I'm going to put a Chewbacca under the Bright Hope. Not that, again, the Chewbacca is really going to help against a Bright Hope. It does power me up to be a 9, 10, 11. An 11, but unfortunately a clone cohort with I think like 6 ships on it, and I'm dealing back 7 I'm dealing back 7 damage, but that's still not enough here to technically kill out this cohort, because again that would only put them actually 11. I think we did that math wrong. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but there's really no way I'm going to kill that clone cohort. I mean, honestly, look at the board presence here, folks. I mean, the sky is definitely my opponents. They got the Mining Guild tie. They got 4 TIE Fighters, a bunch of little chip damage, and I have no way to really control the board. I'm going to bring out the A-Wing. I'm really just trying to get rid of the clone cohort before I die. Anyways, 1 swing with the Hera here. I'm going to give a +1/+1 to Ezra. I probably should have swung Hera first to get the +1/+1 to Ezra and then swung Ezra. But honestly, this matchup is not in my favor at all, because my opponent here is more about space spam, and I am definitely not about space spam. Unfortunately, I did draw the Kanan Jarrus, and I decided to scoop it up from there and pass my opponent as we move to game 2 with Vader winning game 1. Here we go for game number 2. As we begin, I'm going to go throw down yet another chopper because of anything, and my opponent decides to start off with another 𝐒𝐍𝐶𝐄𝐒, because that's just the best play you could start off with, because then once again, you get both a TIE Fighter and a non-token unit on the board. So I mean, that's already 2 bodies on the board that I had to deal with. So anyways, I'm going to take a good think about it. I do have the initiative here to start out with. The problem is my opponent's already started the spam. My opponent did not set the timer, his health counter back to 0 there, but we will get that corrected once we are ready to begin the strategy. My opponent decides to play down their resource, and then we move on to the round. Anyways, I'm going to put out the Phantom here. It does have grid and can attach to the Ghost here to give it a +3/+3 to the Ghost, which also then upgrades the Ghost from this set, so that then you get the keyword Sentinel, which then gives it to all of your then you can give Sentinel to every one of single of your Spectors. So anyways, I'm going to swing 2. Again, I do immediately get the raid off of the effect, because again, I do have the Phantom 2 is considered a Spector. So I do 2 damage there. I did actually hit an event there. I forget which event it was, but nonetheless, we did force our opponent to lose 1 resource here. Anyways, we have the Clone Bomber coming down. They're going to tap, create a TIE Fighter token, and I decide to claim, and then we'll just swing a TIE Fighter token into the base, and then we will pass from there. Again, this Stealth Repeat or Phantom 2 is really good because it does allow me to have grit, so that does mean I do have grit on my body. So any damage on me can automatically buff up me as well. So that's really good. So anyways, my opponent is going to decide here on the resource. Once again, I am still at a disadvantage here. I will say that this game does go a little better for me, just a little. Anyways, we got Chopper. Chopper is swinging again. We go in the middle of the top card of the deck. It is not an event. It is an event. It is an event. I don't know which event, but nonetheless, we do get the rest there, which is really good. So far, Chopper twice has done the resting. I think throughout this game, I don't even see any aspect of Kanan and Jarrus. I think I lose at in Kanan and Jarrus. Anyways, I'm going to go Dogfight. Dogfight does allow me to swing with the rested Stealth Repeat or Phantom 2, even while frozen in Carbonite, because again, frozen in Carbonite does not state the guy can't attack. Basically, again, Dogfight being a rotation card doesn't kind of really ignores frozen in Carbonite. But anyways, we're going to smash out the Y-Wing here, just trying to remove at least 1 body, because again, the Vader can only tap himself to create TIE Fighter tokens if my opponent swings with non-token guys. So basically, just trying to mitigate a little bit of the damage here. I do have the new Ghost from the set from JTL as well, which again, if upgrade does allow me to give all Spectors all keywords of Sentinel, and then it can also give all keywords that it has as well to all Sentinel. So if you have ways like the Yularen from this set can give keywords to ships. So again, as long as that guy is upgraded, you can get stuff off of it. So I'm going to decide that I did almost decide to put Blue 3 under there, but again, I decided I'm going to keep Blue 3 in hand, or Blue Leader in hand, as well as I have a Bright Hope to try to hold back. Anyways, we're going to go Blue Leader into the 𝐒𝐍𝐶𝐄𝐒. Again, I need to keep my opponent off of space, so that is the one way to beat Vaders. You have to keep them in space. Unfortunately, we did decide to actually miss the coordinate action there. Yes, we did miss the timing aspect that shuttle should have had a coordinate, and my opponent did not have 3 or more guys on the board at the time of it thing. So that is a misplay on both of us now looking at it. Neither of us caught the fact that it needed to be coordinated to steal. But typically, coordinate when played, you get to steal a guy from your opponent's side of the board and capture it and put it under it. Again, keeping control of my opponent's board state so they can't actually make TIE Fighter tokens is how you have to really deal with the board state in this game against Vader. You just have to keep your opponent off of non-token vehicles. So my opponent is going to pass. Again, Blue Leader is also a unique guy, so another Blue Leader technically will kill out my other Blue Leader. So I am now at the 6th threshold to deal with things. I believe I do decide to swing Blue Leader into, I should swing it into the shuttle to knock out, get back Ezra. But the problem is my opponent, of course, gets action here first. So anyways, they're going to make 2 TIE Fighter tokens. We're going to see Vader come down onto that, and then we're going to have Hera come down as well. So that means I can start giving stuff, and that also gives me aspect to the +1/+1 to, that does give me the does give me unique. Anyways, we're going to bring down the ghost from this set. Once again, once upgraded, all Sentinels have the keyword, all Spectors have the keyword of Sentinel. Anyways, we're going to swing in. We're going to have the shuttle swing a whole lot of damage to me. It's going to be 7 damage points on me. Once again, it probably shouldn't have that Ezra even under it because we forgot to coordinate. Anyways, +1, all my Spectors have Sentinel now because of upgrade off of this ghost. Anyways, it is still relatively close. But anyways, that ghost does have the Sentinel up right now, so meaning that if my opponent does want to go after it, it does have to come in. Sorry, actually, that Vader should have dealt 8 damage there. Sorry, not 7. Victor leader there. Anyways, my opponent is going to decide some things here. I do still have the blue leader to do anything. In that aspect, maybe I should have actually given the +1 token to blue leader, and then have blue leader swing and kill off Victor leader, because technically blue leader wouldn't have died at that point. We have Frozen and Carbonite on the blue leader. I do believe I draw a dogfight at some point, so to help me. So that's probably what I should have 100% done. Here is probably swung Hera to give the +1 token to blue leader, and then I could have swung into, before anything would have happened, into Victor leader to try and knock down Victor leader. That's what I probably should have done, but I'm not sure if the sequencing would have helped based on everything. But looking on everything, I think I would have probably been able to at least have done that pathway, and then I could have had blue leader. But again, Frozen and Carbonite isn't something impactful to me because again, I do have dogfight. But anyways, I'm going to put a Hera pilot under, of course, the ghost. Now all my Spectors have restore 1 because again, the ghost gives all keywords to all Spectre units no matter what. So anyways, no good to me dead to freeze down my ghost so it can't do anything this turn and cannot restand in the regrouping phase this turn. So anyways, Chopper swinging down for his 2 damage. My opponent is going to then mill their top card for some reason. Also in this game, I can't find my 𝐂𝐻𝐿 anyway. So anyways, it was not an event, so we do not rest down any of our opponent's resources here, which would have been pretty nice here. Again, my problem is my space is completely right now jam-packed of the fact that I don't really have much of a way to deal with the space. But anyways, this so if he does decide to swing in the shuttle does technically will not actually die here. 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I do get, then Victor leader gets the +1/+1. So anyways, as of right now, I don't think, the shuttle can't, the shuttle technically can't kill me. It does only 8 damage, and technically right now I am at 10 health, but technically the shuttle also doesn't die to the ghost either, because technicality of the fact of everything. So anyways, we're going to swing in there. I have 1 health point left on this, as well as 1 health point left on the shuttle itself. So anyways, we're going to swing Hera. We're going to do this. We're going to give another +1/+1. The problem is that was pretty much pointless there. I should have given probably the Chopper, because really the problem is each TIE fighter deals 2 damage because of the Victor leader. Anyways, we're going to then pay the 3. Blue leader to knock out Vader, and then we're going to just basically knock out other blue leader, and we're basically now on the ground. It's not really impactful. Again, the problem with me is that I'm running out of space resources. I believe I really only run the ghosts, blue leader, Phoenix Squadron, A-Wing, and Bright Hope. So anyways, I'm going to put down Sabine. Basically, right now, I am basically controlling the ground, and my opponent is basically playing the space realm. The problem is, in a deck that has Clone Cohort Squadron, and I have no way to deal with Clone Cohort Squadron in the sky, there's not much else I can really do except just sit here on the ground and not really look at anything other than that. So basically, will be wrapped up by my opponent, as his Clone Cohort is getting a +4 off of its own effect, then +1 more for a Victor leader, basically giving this thing a... So it's 8. So it swings for 8 damage at any one point in time. Anyways, we're going to swing Ezra. I am going to decide to play out and play 𝐂𝐻𝐿 finally, but he's a little late to this party right now, because again, there's no way for me to deal that Clone Cohort, especially now that we have Overwhelming Barrage to plus that, because it goes off of the effect right now. So a 10 powered Barrage here, by the way, so that means he can split between 10 powers. So we're going to go 6 on to Hera, and then we're going to go 3 on, I think he kills Sabine, because Sabine's extra damage here. So no waste 3 off Sabine, that is basically everything done. Chopper to swing that extra 2 damage. We are going to push our opponent up to 20, but again, there is physically no way I'm going to be able to come back from the fact that that clone cohort bomber is swinging at 10 damage, and then I have to deal with a 2 hitting Victor Leader, a 2 hitting Mining Guild Tie, a 2 hitting TIE Fire, 2 hitting TIE Fire, and a 3 hitting Zagarian Starhopper. So, I mean, I really counted out here, folks. There's really no way I can really count out anything at all because, again, the Clohorn Bomber attacks here, and there's really nothing else I could do, so I scoop it up from there. That is 100% what Vader Yellow is doing and why right now it is so impactful. It doesn't really play anything in the ground. It's all about swarming in the sky. It's about swarming in the sky, utilizing all the good yellow control cards to control your opponent's ground state, using Overwhelming Barrage to then destroy your opponent's ground state, and then push your opponent to try to control your space realm. Nonetheless, there's a reason why this deck now is contention for meta relevancy. Vader Yellow, not Hera Lake Country. But nonetheless, Hera Lake Country is a lot of fun just because you get to play all your Spectors. JTL releasing us another Spector in Ezra Bridges. And with the fact is that we're going to get another Chopper in set 6, I do not see Hera going anywhere, especially even after she rotates out. She will still be in expanded format, and once we get even more Spectors throughout each and every single set, she will get even more powerful in the expanded format. Nonetheless, congratulations to my opponent for winning and doing what Vader does best, swarming the sky and punching me in the face. I think I did make some misplays. We definitely misplayed. I'm not sure if it would have turned the tide of the battle with that Ezra. It might have forced a game 3 if my opponent and I had caught that coordinate on the shuttle. So unfortunately, due to my opponent and I both missing that, that is both on us. Nothing we can do about it. By the time I'm catching it here, talking over this video, it's pretty much moot point. Once again, I'd like to thank Valkyrie Vault in Brownsburg, Indiana for letting me to record these local gameplays. If you guys are looking for a Star Wars Unlimited local scene in around the Indianapolis area and you live around the Indianapolis area, you could drive to Brownsburg, Indiana. Valkyrie Vault does Star Wars Unlimited every Thursday at 6 p.m. Star Wars Unlimited is at 6 p.m. every Friday. I will leave a link down in the description below where you guys can check out the store, as well as get a link to the Discord if you guys want to shop for cards. They are card shops. You got Magic, Pokemon, they do Locana, Star Wars, so you can buy a lot of their product. They can pull cards for you if you're looking for specific cards that they might have, all of that. But anyways, these local nights are usually $5. You walk away with your Pop-Tart pack and a single pack of the newest set. And it's a lot of fun. Typically, some people bring in competitive strategies. Some people just bring in jank strategies. Like today, I'm bringing in, for this May 8th tournament, I brought in Hera. But nonetheless, let me know your thoughts down in the comments on the gameplay. Also, let me know if you caught any other rule changes or anything that we could have done better in the game. Let me know all that down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts also on the Vader Yellow deck and the Hera Lake Country deck. Let me know all of that as well. And hey, YouTube will ping you a little comment right now where you guys can watch another version of Hera Lake Country that I did as well. And with that, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you can get notified when my videos go live for you. And we'll see you here next time on Mama Dragon's TCG.